clear, but then when you clear, the whole point is because you want to rebuild, renovate, however you want to describe it, restructure the foundation, make things stronger. That's what this means. That all over that, or that space all over there. By the way, you do want streams running through or cutting through your first chakra or the root chakra, and you want it, of course, purified and clear vibration, like you described, because again, you describe it as energy. It's energy, life path energy. Also, the treasures are there. That some oftentimes you will in dreams you'll see treasure there, or treasure chests there, or valuables there within the streams themselves. So it's definitely connected to that the ground level. They also call it the kingdom, but definitely it's called the first chakra. In other words, but okay. So from that, what it as it applies, then you of course branched it to the posts, which means I do believe that there is a like you're discovering a reshaping of the like the posts that you're getting ready to tackle. I have a feeling that you're going to be getting into some much more like you say upgrade, like you're going to upgrade the conversation with it in the posts. I also believe this is happening over these next 2 weeks, because I think that the closer that you get to the 14th, I also believe that other wonderful ideas are beginning to happen. Like you said, this one was an experiment, but it also opens. It feels like it's opening a stream that's meant to flow through this direction. But I also believe that you'll discover a way to make it purposeful, because sometimes we have the idea, but we have to do like a test to see if it's even achievable. And I think you've done that part. You've done the test. The yes is achievable. Now to do this with purpose. And the purpose, here it goes. So this is would be in the little box. What I'm writing in that box is this style can help guide the story along the greater story, the story where there's the more serious subjects. Which is the by the way, over the next 2 weeks. I get the feeling that it's over the next 2 weeks. There's more serious, like complicated subject upcoming, but it's going to be nice, and I just know you're going to be ready for this incoming. The incoming post, the one that is the one that you actually that you want to do. I think there's the post that you actually see yourself doing, the one that's going to be maybe more technical, more to your liking. You're definitely going to do it for sure. But and this time I even get the sense that yes, you are going to attract that amazing audience. Without, as you say, being while being careful, very careful not to. You say, I don't want to get distracted with the things that yes, you could easily get people to partake, but that's not your interest in topic or types of content. But it's definitely used to gather people there, to get them there, and to get them looking into these other important, like the next. So this next post, these individuals are going to come and check that out. They're going to come look at it. In other words, kind of like guiding them to the refuge. The safety of the types of, and like you said, important issues that's meant to serve community. Society. Think really, really important things. You're guiding them there, for sure. You are 1,000%. That also is a symbol of the dream. This is also the nature, even with the men. You had in the description of the men, they seem to be, you know, um, like enjoying and also doing something very healthy, but also like they're working on something. They're organized, and they are, if you want to say, as you say, working towards something. And by the way, that chakra, everybody knows that the first chakra is primal, all the primal urges. That's when people, well, if it could be mental as well, but physically, but active mental though. Really exerting that energy. And they're fit. This is where people see their best, fit selves. This is what it's talking about. Like this particular post, it was a wonderful exercise. It's a wonderful exercise, and it does guide others, like the people in the 3D world, to check it out and to be a part of it in some way. But more important posts, I mean, the ones that you say, okay, this the post that I'm going to do next. This one counts. This is the one I want people to check out. And you're shaping the landscape for that to happen. Kind of like putting on a concert. Okay, you want to put on the event? Well, you have to prepare the space to do it. So that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Well, I believe well, I believe that the post that, okay, so the festival post definitely is a definite landscaper for sure. So definitely the dream, is definitely hinting towards this one, because though that this is a post, but this is a post that is a framework for future posts about your personal journey as an author, like you becoming a part of, like, this is like, you know how in stories, like, they'll introduce someone, and then we may forget about them, that person resurfaces. It's kind of that situation, but something that clearly, that, well, if we're gonna, since we're on characters, this post about the festival, people would love that. People love, oh wow, the festival, you went to oh nice, well, what happened? And they're seeing, like, what it looked like. They're looking at what the event, gave, what energy was there, what type of an event it was. And then also got to remember, this is the like kind of like an introduction to your world, because you're actually making plans, in the future, even if it's a distant future, to be a part of that event. And so there's incoming posts not even created yet that's following this one, but this one is laying out the groundwork for these other posts, in which now it's, not only are you a visitor, but also you're a participant, you're a vendor, you're an author in this event. And of course, people are like, oh yeah, I like the last one, I want to see this one too. Oh, you're part of it, the event in itself. Oh wow. And so it's you're this is what we were, so like, I see you creating stories as well. I see you creating stories. This is what I meant. You're telling a story. You're telling your story, is what I saw. So that's specifically to the festival, the one about the festival. But so it was meant, definitely, this this one specifically, the blog about the festival is related with the dream. I mean, there is a clear correspondence to that one, because the next post is going to be, I have a, well, the way that I was reading it is that next post is going to be a serious one, but that's the one to be the one that you would deem as, that this is the one that's important to me, important to you, and that's the one I believe is going to really stand out. I believe it's going to stand out this time, because we also think it's factor in the fact that you're also growing. So like, you're attracting eyes, and they were meant to show up as like, okay, I'm intending to do two posts. I'm going to do this one out of nowhere. Are people going to like it? It's probably just going to be just normal, huh? And then it turned. Then you said, no, it wasn't a normal thing. Or like, they're going to want this kind of thing all the time. It's like, well, I wouldn't think of it as, oh, wanting this one element all the time. I would think of it as, this is part of the storyline that you're developing. Kind of like when you're developing your brand, and what they become known for, and they're following how you develop, how you're being created. That's what they're watch. They're watching this in real time these days, in real time. Yes. So that's why it's more of a positive. You're making use of the beautiful privileges of life and turning it into something of value, capturing those memories. These memories, of course, this is a timeless event. It's not an event that, like, they'll remember this one, those moments, those special moments. This is a special moment, especially when we think about what it represents. It's a symbol. It's becoming a universal symbol. And now people know of this festival, and that means they're going to know of the future ones. They'll expect a future one, and then when of course you're doing a post on it, it's going to be even more significant because you're tapped into that vibration. But like you also mentioned, it bridges into this next post, which because people are following now. They're reading the story, so it's a crafty way because now this post is about this subject, so all minds on this so that they keep up with you and know what's going on. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Right. Yes. Exactly. That's exactly what you should do. You should post what made the event worthwhile for you. Because the whole point, yes, it was to observe others, and even, as you say, naturally, you're going to add critique because you're saying, because we wanted you to, I mean, that was a whole why we wanted to go to different events so that we say, I see myself there. I don't like that story, but okay, okay, so they had to go through many steps. Okay, so what are the steps that they? Okay, so they get to speak, so they will let you speak. Okay, so I think I'll enjoy that. So it was like you're able to approach this in that critical thinking space. That as you're doing the research, as you as your next stop in line to join the many ranks. Absolutely, because that was coming up in the reading that there's just certain. It's like, do I go to these, any of these, um, not just the one that's there that you know of, but also a few others, so that you come to realize and you like you said, because you're supposed to be left with, I can do that, or I'm preparing to do exactly that, and I definitely don't. I mean, what they're doing right now, I consider to be a mistake that could actually be corrected, or it could have been said. I'm going to make sure I don't do those things the way they described it in past readings. When you were like when you're there, you were sitting through speakers, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to listen to all of this. But it was like, yes, but it's a great teaching moment. Where you can gather lessons. So, but that goes along with you said your personal, private journey as you're becoming an author yourself to be a part of that event. But for the meanwhile, they don't, they say certain, sometimes they say, people say, I want to hear the, you kind of like, I want to hear the illusion, the thing, like, don't tell me don't bleed me out the truth, like you said, okay, I could tell them the parts that I don't like and you said make it a review, but that's like, that's not you. Then you said, but there are things there that I actually found valuable, and that's the part I'm going to share with the public, like a politician. Like, don't like tell me the parts that you enjoyed. You don't have to tell me that there's something that is conflicting. That we're gonna say, oh well, why did you say that? Well, I rather enjoyed it. It's like a review. It's like, I don't want to review it, but instead I would like to point out the things that I maybe didn't have anything to do with the talks, but you said that you addressed it enough to say that yes, there were actual talk speakers, and what type of speakers and what they were doing there. That's enough. That's enough right there, because you've got your field research already, and the public and we don't really need to know the personal sentiments. It's not lying. It's just you're telling a truth. You're telling a truth, and you're getting people more interested in specifically, and it allows you to bypass the you said the vagueness, because you go into detail of, okay, why on earth, you know like, did I go to this event, you know but then you go into the details of why you went, and then what you also found fascinating, that added some value to the promise of tomorrow's event, or the next event, I mean. And then that's valuable to others, adding value. And you could stay right there, and it's rich, with little nuggets, that you're collecting, that other people are, admiring. Is, okay, this is nice. If that's what they're left with, this is nice, regardless if the speaker that you encounter, you're personally, you're like, I didn't care much for the speaker, or I am, I in place of that speaker myself, I would have said this, differently. So, which the intent that was intended, but that was a more of a personal journey for you. That part of the reading, that was definitely meant for you only. It necessarily wasn't even meant for everybody. It was because we were looking at this to get us inspired to go to the festival, because the question was raised whether even to go. And because, like you said, my fear that I picked up on, it happened exactly why I was thinking about dodging the whole. But had we dodged the whole thing, then what about those the nuggets that we do get to pick up? What would happen with those? So you left. We got some value out of it. So we should share that part. But don't fret because we don't share the honesty in terms of like our field research yet. You're still researching, but at some point you're going, as you said, you're going to move into your authorship, and then you're going to and then you're going to say, okay, then as you said, well, how did you do it? How did you get to be up there? Okay, you're an author. Okay, what was the but how did you get to be a speaker and part of the event? And then you may go into, well, I wanted to do this. I wanted to bring something different. I found that other authors just weren't doing this, so I decided to do that. And so, I thought that would be a nice addition. Of course, now I'm bringing value to the festival. This was very enjoyable this year to actually be a participant. You've been working for ages on this. By the time that this happens, we're talking about in the new year. At least a year has passed. So it's kind of like that. That's the nature. Um, yeah, but I still see this. I still see this as a post, even if it's withheld. Maybe some information is withheld, but I still see this as a physical post that people are reading or participating in, and it's being accepted. It's very much accepted. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Indeed. That definitely, like you said, that blue is very regal. The fifth chakra, or the ability. Okay, so traditionally, the greatest privilege, of course, is being able to speak openly, like having a free fifth. When you think of the fifth chakra, having a very clear fifth chakra, and it's very much associated with that royal blue, that vibration. It's associated, of course, with Zeus's thunderbolt. That regal element of power, and the idea of that fraternity. A little bit, as you say, um, yeah, it's got a little bit of that in there. But when we look at it from a broader perspective, in a humanitarian, evolved way, it represents your ability to interact. And your will, like when to speak, even because it's wisdom. With the you have the great power in that, but then you use it wisely. Well, the woman that's there present, yet she wanted to interact with you. That's why you're in the pub situation. Now, this means that your voice chakra is being healed. So, because you're having this particular dream because you're getting your 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 fifth chakra is opening. Like people say, for a long while. I guess it was like what 20, like around 2012 situation. He's like, you need to open your heart chakra. It's all about the fourth chakra. But there's other chakras, right? So this one is the fifth chakra. And what happens is that this chakra, of course, could be, it checks out, or it could be blacked out. As you say, it doesn't sound very regal. It's like I was having a dream and I couldn't speak. I felt like, there were things in my vocal restricting me from having the ability to speak up, and I wanted as much as I wanted to. And so this is saying this type of dream is letting you know that actually your voice is clear. Now here's the thing: there's somebody who's connecting with you in the 3D world who wants to talk with you, but you're not giving them a time of day. And they're basically, of course, in the astral realm, trying to get your attention, wanting to engage, wanting to interact with you. Yes, they are approaching you this way. So usually, I find when people are connecting with you in this space, they they want. It's kind of like you. Okay, they come across as friendly, but they can become entangled with you. And when they do that, they can try and like somehow win your voice over on their end. So it's a bit. It's not. It is a bit manipulative from this point. Um, this is the one that's there, the one that you're refusing to talk with. It's like you picked up on that. This is more like a psychic match. You're like I'm not even going to participate. So that's how that was. And so this person is actually becoming aware that you have more sway in communication or in conversations. The one that's you said Eastern Europe, the guy saying that you're the pleasant one. That one is a friendly person. That one's a friendly soul that wants to engage or and interact with you. But I feel like this is someone you haven't met yet, but it's somebody that you will meet, and you're welcoming that person, kind of like agreeing, like the soul contracts. You're agreeing. You said it was kind of like giving the gesture. It would be okay if we align, if we work, meet up and do something together. I'd be okay with that. So that's where that is. That's where it's going. So you end up making a deal. Sometimes people the other you could think of this as like going to the market, where the kind of market where you have to go back and forth, and you get to haggle the price. It's kind of like that. like, so the first one, that contract was clearly a no go. You were just weren't having it. And but the second one, you're like, okay, now this one's pleasant. This is nice. And then you made some gestures where it allows for contract to take place. This level of connection, like commitment, seems more like you might have a run in, or you might something might like encourage you both to look in each other's direction, and then from there you have to decide, is it just to say hi? Because some contracts is just to, it's like the kind of like the butter, you don't think anything about how significant the butterfly is because it's so small, but the smallest gestures affect, on the timeline of many different things, possible things that could happen, right? So it could be just simple hello could mean the world to a person. So it could be maybe you do this the look, and in that very moment, something rippled, something happened. So but it also can mean a decision to make. Like a crossroad. Okay, if you say hello, maybe you two will become, friends for a very long while, or associates, I guess, associates for a very long time. So definitely somebody new is coming. But this is describing a more detailed, okay, how do we meet? Or like, what is it like when you both meet? So it feels like, yes, you're going to meet them, but this is going to play out in the 3D, like, okay, oh, I just met somebody, I just passed by them or made the connection. Okay, maybe I'll say hi. It's that kind of situation. But definitely the one, now this one that wants to be in your space and get you talking, this feels like somebody who knows of you already. This is somebody who knows of you already. You know them at least by sight. You may not know them personally. You may not even want to. But I definitely believe that the person who's you're avoiding right now is somebody who you know, and they're just visiting. The good thing is that you're protected. So this is not anyone who's sort of like a stowaway. Someone's trying to force an attachment to you in some way. It's not like that. This one is okay. Now remember, we said we need to get to a place where people would need to be acknowledged firstly before they enter into your space or before they become a part of your spirit road. So that's what this is. It's just like, well, regardless if they are aware of it or not, because I don't think people really think about, oh, I wonder if they'll spiritually in the spirit world. I mean, oh, I wonder if they'll accept me or not. There people tend to over there they want to barge in, so because their curiosity if they make it over there. So you're like, okay, we stopped it where you the first kind of like at the doorway at the entrance is okay. Do you like this person or no? Do you want to spend time with them or no? Okay, you don't, fine. Then they cannot come enter into Rebecca's, and Kevin's personal, like how they were originally, where they were just like unannounced, just showing up. Then they're not able to do that now. Now you see them like in of course you said the surrounding is like this the bar scene, and this person is trying to talk with you, the blue dress, and what all of that symbolizes where you are. By the way, to add, this scene though it's a bar, but if it was like completely dark, and you might feel like I could think what I wanted to say but couldn't. That would definitely represent, that there would be like needing to open up channels. So right now your channels is completely open, and you're able to engage. You're able to interact, even if you decided not to say anything, was maybe it wasn't necessary, and you were just more like just actively just saying, yeah, it's just go away. But still, you were comfortable, and like I could tell because the nature of the vision or that you had, this is just describing that your fifth chakra is indeed open, and it also I want to add lastly, it's healthy. I believe you have a healthy. By the way, this is everything you're going to need for your speak upcoming naturally. Yes. So it's activated. Your fifth chakra is activated. So when you definitely ask, okay, am I absolutely ready to have everything I need? This is the proof. Yes, you do. You have everything you need. Based on this dream, you're ready to have that talk. Let's do the public speak. Mm, good. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm, mm, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Mm, yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Indeed. Indeed. There is a beautiful psychic connection with, like rejuvenating in this area. Once again, tapping into the inner child and raising the inner child. It's nothing like it. It's very exciting, because it feels as though you are, as you say, raising yourself. In a time when you said, "Wow, some of us never had the opportunity to really play," or play kind of like, play dress up, play as an adult, as a child. Sometimes, because the structures in that time in the 3D world, they just didn't permit it, or the Guardians, however it would play out. This is such a case where, like you say, untapped potential of creativity. What, like, that means this child learns, you learn, because we know that you have a connection with the child. But this has so many, um, okay, so there's that, and we're gonna come back to that. But I wanted to plant that wonderful seed there. Um, okay, so we have to address. Okay, so the idea of the moving out of this space, it does have a significance. It represents that, represents your lifetimes, and all of the wardrobe represent lifetimes. Well, actual you versions of you. All the excuse me, of the makeup. The wardrobe is, and the makeup are all of the you that you could become. So these are the yous. all these all these yous are you. All the forms and ways of all. Like, imagine all of the lifetimes. Let's say you 1,000 life across 1,000 lifetimes. It's kind of like taking a paintbrush and you're dipping in a few of the colors, and you're using the colors, the assorted colors, to create this beautiful, display. But that display is a person, and that is yourself. So the mirror, the makeup, but this now, it's not you pretending that you're anyone else but you. By the way, that's the beautiful thing. This is actually you. You have every right to tap in any aspect of yourself, right? Any of the past you that you know of, and tap into those experiences, because those experiences made you who you are right now. And so then, as you're crossing over and you're checking things out, and you make this amazing discovery, you found a part of you that, could take now we're coming circling back, a little bit more special attention. And you might say, allowing my inner child to inherit my old home, this home, because sometimes we have to. Okay, so the child experience happened in a 3D world, right? Then it sets the tone of why we're in this particular space, this particular house, this particular you describe as a being in a dressing room. And okay, so but now you're saying, but you yourself now in your first person is saying, okay, I'm moving out. I'm ready to move out. Wherever you decide to go, the world is your. We'll get there, but for now we're focusing on this part. You could will this to your inner child. Win this space to your inner child. Allow your inner child to to come out of that. Get out of that lay to rest, that bed, as we say, and play amongst the those clothes. It's fun to imagine like that younger you, or a small girl, of your own design. Maybe you actually see one, and she actually is, rummaging through the things you've left behind. So you're like, oh, I remember that, and you're fitting, kind of like you're fitting her, placing that onto your younger self, or a young girl that is representation symbolically as yourself. And allowing, as I say, because rather than you thinking, so am I gonna have to play like a child in 3D, or no? Not necessarily. We're just saying that allowing the inner child in your psychic realm to enjoy those moments, and because it unlocks creativity. Because this symbol is like, oh, I've laid it to rest and I moved on. Then you realize that that's a shade that is a part of you that you need to go back and recover, because that experience, that child actually at play and having a healthy life child. Hence, we go back and sometimes and re-raise ourselves, or rethink things that just because none of us has perfect upbringing. So because we go and we make those corrections, right? When we become to knowing better. So you're now figuring out, okay, this aspect of me, I want to. And by the way, you know how dream characters are. They take a life of their own. So you don't have to like consciously keep checking in like in a laboratory, like you're behind the window, and it's blackened, like you can see her but she can't see you. It's weird. Nothing like that. It's just more like this is more like, okay, I'm gonna leave you to it. And she's, and then from time to time, because time works differently over there. Sometimes you'll see her various ages where you've grown, and she's like, someday maybe like, okay, now she's growing into the clothes, right? Now she's fitting into the clothes. Wonderful. And full on well, this is a symbolic symbol, like your dream consciousness. The dream people are just letting you know, this is you, but this is what we look like. This is you, what you look like into the subconsciousness. And you're getting stronger. You're getting better. You're growing out of the old ways, and you're becoming, a more stronger version, wonderfully made version of yourself. So we definitely should begin there, but we should start at the age that if you see how small the child is, you see roughly we see the exact age of the child. So we definitely want to start right there. And basically, it's just imagining that, okay, so right now the child, is finds their way out. It doesn't. You don't have to like, well, you could, imagine, the rosiness back into the life of, into the cheekbones, all that. But you can also imagine that, okay, the child is getting up, maybe, one of the kind ladies, or somebody left, or maybe you left, in your, because you can also leave things in the dressing room still. You have access to that realm, tea, and, or a nice warm milk, or something that the child might like, to go in and retrieve it, make her, as the child makes their way, and then becomes nourished, then starts to look in the mirror, and then every time you go to back to check on the child in your mind's eye, or maybe in a dream, you find that the child's looking more lively, right? Vitality. And then it's starting to say, okay, now the child's beginning to rummage through things to play. And of course, you're growing, though you know that danger is nearby. We're getting out. I know you left this place and you're don't want to be seen. You know, you protected your inner child. You know, like, and sometimes we protect the child, our inner child, excuse me, we protect ourselves, and yeah, we bury it because, and we don't let anyone near it, and there's a good reason. You know, if you don't, there's like, if the world hasn't given proven itself to you, us, to trust it, we definitely. But now spirit is saying, or you're at a place where you're saying, you can now trust yourself because you're in a place where you can defend yourself. You can protect your inner child. Your child can play now and look like a child, as you say, like a beautiful child, beautifully made, you know, by the gods, you know, child, and now, or a little girl. So now, you know, now you're seeing that she's being a little bit more mature in the kinds of like when she's rummaging, like the kind of selections of things that she's drawn to wear. You know, you start to realize, wow, now, you know, she might go from looking like a small child to a 12-year-old. Like, wow, they grow so fast. So this is, but of course, it's, you're going to heal in phases, much like we age in phases. But this is a beautiful thing to achieve. Is the raise, like when you raise, when we come to raising our inner child when we're ready. But this is like the pathway to begin the journey. Oh, by the way, when you exited and you met the three women, you know, definitely this is along the lines of, you know, past, present, and future. You know, you think of the fates, but definitely these three women are significant to the things, as you would say, things that I needed to be aware of so that I don't go wrong. So this is letting you know, kind of like, you know, you're moving out of the neighborhood. It's kind of like I was in this space, a neighborhood, in the psychic world where, you know, I had to look out, I had to watch my back. You know, now I'm moving. Let's say I'm moving to a better location. You know, it sound like you're moving to a better location, off to bigger, better, beautiful places now. And you're like, I get to get out of this neighborhood. I've been here for so long. I wanted out of this neighborhood. That's what they represent. Those three ladies, as you say, you know, under the guise of the ladies of the evening, you know, the prostitutions. This was saying, I don't I don't want my life in this to go in this direction. These spirits, these are spirits, and or if you want to say entity or dream characters, this is versions of ourselves that we don't. It's not like, as they say, so we all have parts of us that we deny. That is not, I would not say that that is the case in this situation. I would say that these are redeemable qualities of spirits or dream people who need to, because you might start working with them. I like to, whenever I have questionable, you know, sketchy aspects of myself or dream people, or spirit, however you want to rephrase them, I've seen them redeemed. So I witnessed it. So now these days I like to go approach them, and you know, you might, you know, get them cleaned up. You know, like visit them, remember who they are, remember where you saw them, but in your visions, you know, in your meditations, approach them. You know, maybe each of them have a gift, which they do, by the way. You know, one might be like a nurse or a healer. You know, another one might just, you know, like to learn. Another one, you know, might actually like taking care of like children. You know, maybe your inner child and she may become great friends one day. You know, and but in a healthy way, and definitely not, you know, generating that you're in your dream world. You're referring to them as, oh, these are people I need to steer away from. So definitely we want to visit those aspects as well and put them into perspective. We shouldn't. What I find is that we shouldn't go around these individuals in these dream perspectives, because it's kind of um, like free thought, and they can contribute to your dreaming experience in ways that you would feel comfortable with. So right, so definitely we will want to work with them. We want to work with them in some capacity, and ask them who they are, and what they each of them represent, and and see which directions of life or types of maybe it's like careers over there that they draw to, whether for healing, um, taking care of the young ones. Um, maybe one of them is a speaker of some kind, maybe a life coach even. So you could begin to change their vibration, because these vibrations are actually in your perception. These are I mean, these are this their entity, but they're perceiving to you. The beautiful thing is, if they're meant to just to exit and not belong a part of your journey, because yes, you could run them off as well. You could run them off, but but sometimes they also either make the proper changes, as they say, are they willing to shift and be more of, like, if they're going to be, we call it living rent free, if they're going to be in your dream space, can they at least help out and it's like, do something good that can help everybody? It would help the environment over there just as much as it would help, the understanding of, okay, I'm over in the 3D world, and so like you need their support, and oftentimes than not, they will help. They will be there. They will come through. They will make the changes necessary. Okay, so now why is all this important? Because they 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 clearly, if we were a participant in their subject, in what they represent, right? Yes, they would be fed. That would be how they get energy, or how they exist. They would exist in that identity, and yes, in every shape or form of our, even to the point of demise, it would appear that they're having a field day over there. So we definitely don't want that kind of entity running like loose, right? So I would call this person. This is truly, someone who is foreign, who needs to just know as you say, they're invited in. However, they need to learn the rules. Rebecca's the rules of the land. Rebecca's land, particularly her dream world. So if you're gonna be here, you're gonna be a part of my chakra base. I can let you here, but you've got, what are you doing? What is your function? Yeah, you want to, because otherwise you got this. How we talked about where having so much space in your mind and not doing anything with it. It's like kind of like the Xerox. You have an event, but with 1,000 copies. I said no, we only need one of them, because we're always going to remember what happened, and the rest of the other 999, we can draw on those. We can do anything we want to those. And in others, as it's saying, we can make use of the information, make use of the space to create. And so, likewise, the same with these three dream individuals. So what we're beginning to do. We're speaking. I'm carefully stating this in affirmations, so that the journey has already begun. So it's nothing for, like, oh, I don't need to. Everything is, as they say, unconscious. Everything is, but it represents that consciously. Like when you're thinking about it, you'll see like advancements of this story, kind of like continuations, and continuations. You'll see what's going on, like the changes the three entity make, especially the change in the, for the inner child, especially that one, emphasis on the inner child. Continuations of story, continuations of life and consciousness. Okay. 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 Right. We when you had me read this, I felt that you would actually people would start looking at the flat in this time frame. Um, in the especially now they said that the first one that comes would be like a test. It would be like not quite what you asked for, but at least they're showing up kind of bit. And now you've got serious. This is the time frame we have serious buyers. What I'm describing. So that means I know you really want to sell the flat, but as you're, I'll say it this way, worded in a positive way, beneficial way. As you're selling the flat, you're planning to sell a flat. Other people who actually have your asking price will make the purchase because you. And by the way, you can kind of like make kind of put what do you call it? Put that out there. Like, well, there's someone who's willing to purchase it at this price. I think this would be kind of like I feel like this would be something you that the your presenter is already going to do. Well, okay, you can't go lower than this price because it's already we already have somebody who's ready to buy it at this price. That means they've got to know where to go but higher. Like why would he be the need to sell it to you for the same price as a person? Well, what's the asking price? Okay, well, no, okay. So you have anyone who's interested? Who's already, yes, at this price, or this range, and then they're saying, okay, so what's it? Then what is the asking price? So the asking price is this price, yes, or in a little, and also or in this range, more. But we really like asking, we want this amount. Well, I will do that amount over the person who says that they've got, who's going a little lower. I'm willing to pay your asking price. Will you sell it to me? So this group, I hope I explained that. Where you go, if you don't understand, I think I can break it down. But I'm thinking that the incoming people are going to actually come in with the price you're asking for. That's what I meant. If that makes more sense. And but now okay, so now I know that you're like eager to get this sold. They did say this month of June. We're still 2 weeks into the constellation because the constellations overlap. So this is happening over the next 2 weeks. I believe you could have something finalized like in the middle of the month, this month in June. You would at least say, I've got something absolute. I've got something absolute in terms of selling, but I get the feeling that the ones who are saying, but we've got the money, these individuals are arriving now, like positive ones, beneficial ones that will, you know, get you closer to your goal as well. So this one, even though that this one's good, it's like a great start, and like it doesn't sound. I mean, it sounds like you said. Well, you have agreed conditionally, and so it feels like it's moving in the direction that you're going to be able to get more like maybe even ever closer to your goal. What I'm saying. Right. Okay. Okay. All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now I do know that we're going to begin like a new shift very soon. We're going to get a new shift. The shift actually comes the 14th. It's a lot that's going to happen with Mercury during this time, and but I get the sense also in the meanwhile, like okay, but in the meantime, like you said, you describe it between yourselves as new work coming. I describe it as people who are going to partner with you, who's going to create the new work. In other words, are attracting to you as well in this time frame. So we want to keep a lookout, definitely for the incoming persons or people we're going to work with. So definitely new work is on the way. And definitely in that regard, for sure. Let Let me see. Okay, so they got they said by because okay, there's a lot of elements here like July month, by July. I'm seeing great financial partnership success. So money, finances, in terms of like with work, is on its way successfully this year. Time frame, please. By July. I mean, the reading does say July, but I want to say by July because it's like signs of it as we are moving in the last 2 weeks of this month of June. By the way, when I see you work, I see you active, very active, very independent. That's you. That's absolutely one of your symbols, no doubt. Okay, so which part is okay? It's the agreement. You're already in action. By the way, you're already in motion. You're already prepared, as you say, inwardly. You got the energy to do it. The only part that's missing is, of course, the agreement and the money. Like, show me the contract and show me. You said show you the finances. Those are the two. Those are the two subjects. The final parts, and of course, that's July month. They say also long term endeavors. Your path number will become eight, the path number eight. And also, you are going to be highly active. This usually people like this are managing. They're ruling their worlds. Like that's what you're going to be doing. Very administrative elements as well. The final structure here is celebrate. You're going to be very busy, so you have goals that need to happen to celebrate, which you will. You'll have that soon. Your gentleman come through. Kevin is present. He is going to be working with you as well in some capacity. It might be how you two work together. It may happen like that. Yep, he's going to be very much part of the journey. I see you both doing something together, working together, assisting each other. Describing like you're talking with him about the work and things like that. You're balanced. You have both. They described you as feeling great and about this new business opportunities. Also, the money's right. You're talking about money. You're in your space again, your zone, and you're doing wonderful business. And it's the type of business you like, where there's a lot of like inner workings and personalities. Maybe a little bit of behind the scenes, uh, back and forth. So you're definitely going to have that stimulation, that exciting stimulation in your career that you undergo. Things are going to start picking up again, huh? Like yes, and I believe the especially more towards the end of this month, 2025 June, into early July month. All of this, what just described in the talk about finances and incoming work, is all about time frame wise. I mean, it's all about June and July. We haven't even described the other one, the August. We haven't even talked about August. But there's a lot that's also supposed to manifest while we're in Taurus. We're wrapping up Taurus these next 2 weeks. So there might be like immediate conversations, especially like maybe the next week over, for example. There's gonna be like conversations leading you into like like making things come together, getting things together. Mm-hmm. Mm, yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. I remember. Mm-hmm. Well, according to the reading, she's you have to be. If she is the one, you have to be very cautious because, which it sounds like she could be. By the way, the symbols, the woman in the dream. I mean, she represents someone in your waking who's trying to, not necessarily come in and dominate or to take away your voice, but manipulate it, like more, or just simply win your voiceover. Like, what can I get from you? But I could tell that she's asking you for something. There's something she's asking for, and but whatever it is, you don't seem satisfied with her answer. You're not satisfied with the offer. With okay. So what are what's the parameters? You don't seem very pleased in the reading regarding surrounding. Okay, if you were to lend assistance, what could you get out of it? So it feels like this person is trying to, well, if I could just talk with you, meaning if I could persuade you, I get that strong sense. Um, I get this, okay, she's tapped in. The one that's in your waking life is tapped in. She wants you to read her mind. Have you ever interacted with someone whom you're talking with, and you kind of get the points that you know where they're going with the conversation, but you to protect yourself because they're so we could be so vulnerable in this mode, almost direct. We're avoiding it, and but they're saying, "I want you to read my mind," and it's like, okay, it's like I'll give in, I'll surrender, I'll help you. It's like now you're reading my mind. Now all of a sudden you know what in the world she's talking about. And other than that, she's like, well, maybe you don't understand what I'm saying, like what I'm implying. It's not a coercion, but it's definitely like, well, if you just hear my plan out, I'm pretty sure you'll agree that I'm right. But she's not gonna let us just walk away. I mean, like she's saying, maintaining the idea that you're going to more or less take on her case, as you would say, and see things her way. But you're not going to do that. You didn't do that in the dream, at least. And she would have to make it much more enticing for you to maybe accept it in 3D world. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Mm. Now, okay. Now that one's different. That one's a little. This one's a little different. Okay. So the daughter. Okay. The daughter that you mentioned. This one doesn't feel connected to the dream world. However, um, we did a reading on her on the situation we did, and of course she came through. And the reading said that she's actually favorable. So she would be, if it was a dream world, she would be the one from Eastern Europe. But symbolically, definitely she's more helpful. She's more on the helpful side. Like the other one is like absolutely a no. The daughter, we felt we made predictions around her, that she would actually take a liking to you. She likes how you sound. She likes what you're stressing. You're empowering them, and you're kind of opening up their mom's mind to see them differently, to view them differently as competent. I mean, adults ready to take responsibility now. So then they said a future conversation would actually be pleasant, or like at least a conversation of understanding at minimal. At least it's like if they ask, it's more like, could you please describe like a pathway forward, rather than like get over here and and do this. It's more like how we might go about this, or if we do this, will it affect you? Is it going to bother you in some way? Will it inconvenience you in any way? So it's something to that. Like it's like, in fact, they said that the daughter is the better one to talk with about things that come up. Hmm. Yeah, she's a reading all of her own. Hmm. 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 Right. Marika's vibration came in. I was thinking that Marika's gonna have a role in this in some capacity, but I felt that though they have their own things going on, I felt that this dream was talking about somebody who is like more immediate, who has like a more stronger access to you, like can surprise you more or less, like out of nowhere, like email you or something like to that effect, or call you, something like that. Although definitely 1,000%, there's something going on with everybody all the time. But this one, definitely, I would say, someone who's like whenever if okay, so reading for like Marika's vibration and and they, I get the strong sense that for now they seem to backed off a little bit for some, I don't feel they brewing up anything yet. That may mean that you have some adventures with them in the future, and they're preserving their energy, but it's like they've gotten something from you, and they're like, okay, we've gotten what we've gotten. Maybe we should let it rest for now. It's like they wanted to win you over. They wanted you to do something with them. It's kind of like a favor to them. Like you have contributed. So it's like, okay, Rebecca has actually contributed. Let's back off a little bit. They'll be back. They will absolutely be back around. But for now, it's like they're basking in, like the little wins. It's like, well, it wasn't entirely a loss. It's like, you. I don't even think they picked up, that that you distrust them. It's more like, well, she helped us enough. They got us to this point, so let's back off a little bit. And they definitely 1,000% wanted to feel like you're part of their circle, and it's like, well, if this is all that Rebecca is going to allow, well, at least she's done this. At least she's helped us out tremendously in favor. So, and she does the speaking things, engagements with us. So, we better leave it. We better like take what we have and be happy, more or less. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that explains it. Yes, people who owe us do pull back. She is definitely pulled back for now, but not forever. I have a feeling she'll be back around. Like it feels very much that there's a lot of like June, July activity, like activities for everybody. Energetically is starting to really move, and it's like you're gonna be very busy, and but when as you say, when the world is calming, then I believe they'll come back. They'll be right back around, especially by it's like maybe throughout these next 6 weeks. Maybe it'll be a little quieter, a little bit, but then they'll pick up again. They're definitely going to pick up in August. I mean, to be exact, that's showing me that's when Marika becomes more active and there's more story to happen around them. Hmm. And it may came in the form of like, okay, so we have this upcoming thing project. You know, we need you. We need you. It's going to come off something to that effect. But see, she is playing it down because the whole point was to get you to be part of their circle. You know, you mentioned it even before. Like I know what she wants. She just wants, you know, like you said, she wants to get where you're doing, or you have favors. You know that you're doing things for her. You said using to use you. That's exact what you said. But that's where she's that's the intentions, and of course she's calling and refuting it, but that was the way that her personality played out. Everybody's, in fact, the entire table personality plays out, and they said, you're actually, like you said, you're discovering you actually brought more coming in. And so but then of course you go in there and you make the use of what's there, but you're bringing, like you said, you brought a lot. So the past 6 months since this began, entering in, you put it together. Now you understand. You understand it to the fullest, and yeah, so they will definitely be back to ask for other things because we okay. So we've been doing a very tricky project here, psychic project, that I mean, it's every time we try to describe it, it's always a little different, but it's the same, but it's said in different ways. Like you're building a platform, but it's independent. You're going to discover like speaking engagements and do posts, and all of that is going to be strictly independent and your own, and also work comes by way of this channel as you're working with Marika and the group at the table, who's also asking you to do, as you said, favors for them. All this happening at once. But the universe will always want you to. The goal of it, universe wants you to always recognize that you have a bit of a platform yourself, like a little bit of a stage presence, all of your very own that you came with. It wasn't cultivated here. You brought it with you, and that's right. That's wonderful. And by the way, they see it. They do see it. And there's elements, like you said, you had to. Oh, they said that able to create a respectable space, which you clearly that's exactly what you're doing. She's reaching out to you and think, but even although, you know, she like you said, she has intentions behind why she reached out. So yeah, that's but at the same time, you're creating this space where it's absolutely your space. I call it the respectable space where they acknowledge, yes, you did, you did that work. Yes, you did the favors. Yes, you did this for us, or with us, So it does feel very much like they are acknowledging this space within their sphere. I don't think they planned that. I think that it was like the opportunity psychically, and it was like, hey, make our moves now. It was more like that. So you literally came in and created that space for yourself. And the way that it will play out is, yes, um, it's kind of like let Rebecca in, let Rebecca through, let you in, let you through, let you participate. Maybe even coming up with ideas, or maybe like when they say, well, we want to have a talk and it's over this, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna bring. They know you're gonna bring your expertise, and they trust you with it. They said that it would help in the way that they communicate with you as well. Kind of like give you the. You might feel like they're giving you the right of way. You have the right of way because the work you've done. It's like, what more can they say? What can they say? Not they can say thank you, and yeah, you're right. Yeah, when you just let us know. Of course, as you will now know, if you come up with an idea, they will have to. They'll feel more obliged to participate. Maybe something that you will need or call on or ask for, and they will participate, be in attendance. Even Marika, by the way, even Marika will want to do that. Will be called to do that. Oh, by the way, this energy. I know there's a gentleman in here. This energy is coming by way of him. Oh, I'm reading by reading this. It's like I'm reading, pulling on his energy, and but it's translation that you are brought in, you are accepted into Marika's and they circle. Mm-hmm. You are embraced as far as they understand. Now, as far as you want to go into this sphere personally, that's different. I would say that's more like, as you might say, I still don't want to be any closer than I am. I've already I've already have done that. So I would say I believe that's more like personal, but as far as that they understand, Marika understands that you're part of their circle, their group. Well, I'm not sure of his name, but as I'm reading, like I see Laperna, Marika, and then I always see like a man's energy, and well, as I'm going through all of this, I keep pulling on a male energy though. Like whenever we were talking about like you had to go in there, you had to create a space. It was a respectable space. You do the favors, and like somebody who was saying, well, Rebecca has done a lot of work with us. Like respectfully, like it's like it's his energy is involved. It's a male's energy involved. I'm not sure what he's called, um, but that's that's very much a part of Glenn. It's a Glenn. That's more like a Glenn. Glenn's energy. It's Glenn. When I connect with when you said that name, all of the stars shined. It's Glenn. Glenn's energy. Laperna, Marika. These energies right here. I know there's another one, but these primary energies right here. These are the ones that say, especially Glenn's energy today. Glenn's energy is like like he's the one that would say Rebecca's fantastic. Like he would say that openly. Like she did. Oh, she completed all the tasks. That's the way he would put it. He's like, yeah, she did, didn't she? That's Marika. Yeah, she did, didn't she? Who's all going to be in? Who's all going to attend? This the speaking engagement, and then Mariko definitely would say, "Oh, someone needs to get a hold of Rebecca." So that's I mean, because then that's her again asking for favor. Mm-hmm. Right, right. Mm-hmm. They yeah, well the spirit world did want you to know more what you were bringing than what you would be receiving. But however, they did say this. They said further up the road, and I believe that we are up the road at this point. That when things would come up, that you will have the ability to call on them. Not that ever you maybe would want to or would need to. You would find other alternative ways well, now they become an alternative way. Not that you would find more absolute ways to getting what you want, what you desire, but that Marika, the group, I mean, as a group, will be able to step in some form or in some way and would agree to lend that assistance or lend that support. So you do have their support when you call on it. It's just a matter of like you deciding what exactly do you need them for. Maybe coming up with that. Um, but when it comes time, they will be there to support you. They'll be there for you. Mm-hmm. Yep, you won them over. You won. That was also the reason why we needed to approach Glenn. Now remember, I got his book now. Okay, so there's a whole section in the chapter about Glenn, just Glenn. Glenn was the one, kind of like you approach a group and you need to connect. You need to connect with somebody. It was like we needed to connect with Glenn. Glenn is the one who turns to the others and says, actually, and then proceeds, Rebecca did do favors. She did do when we asked, she did fulfill, and she fulfilled them. They're completed, and she's a great speaker, as well. So we should invite her. Of course, and a great Marika. Not that Marika isn't putting that out there too. Like as a go-to. Marika. Also put your name out there. It's like we should, bring Rebecca into our fold. So and then everyone's like, okay, yeah, there was all agreements, all yeses. So, but Glenn seems to be the one that really has that hold, that firmness, and that would create this very special place that allowed for you to, let's say, step in there and say, I need this, I desire this, or I don't need this, but I'll do it. That you needed to create this space, but it was aligned with Glenn's energy. So it's 1,000% certain that um, that we've won them over, and like calling on them for something important when it comes time. They're going to make it happen this time, or they're going to be a part of the process to getting you to your goal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Indeed. I keep seeing, however, that you're going to you're going to have so many tools at your disposal, and you might say, "Gosh, like I still want to hold this over. Like I still want to keep this favor, from Marika because I've got all the tools. The door's opening up anyway." But you might say, well, this kind of like for weight, this definitely would swing weight. Where you say, well, this like finalize, like they say, put the seal on everything, seal the deals. Definitely, maybe that would be the case, but pretty much they said the ways that you have in mind to reaching this goal actually holds up. It will hold up. So it's like you're describing now, like finding like where would you need them, where would you want them when that time comes. Like you said, maybe next year, maybe in the new year, or maybe as the year is turning, you'll revisit, and they will hear you. You definitely. Oh, one word. You definitely have the audience. They said you would have the. This is Glenn's energy again. This is his chapter. They said when there comes a time when you say, okay, I want an audience with the group, or Marika, I want to talk to you all, or just Marika, just you and Marika and yourself. You have they're going to lend you. their ear. You have their audience. They're going to listen and hear you out. That's what is promised. That in fact that was the goal. Like what's the purpose of the path? Why is he keep? Why was he showing up? And why is he showing up now? This is this is where I saw that bit of information. It's like I remember saying you definitely have an audience with them now. Now if you make suggestions or if you talk with them or if you show that you in some way that you need support in an area or propose that you do, they're going to say, yeah, even though they can be reluctant all day with these, well, you did a lot for us when we did call on you. You did come through. So so what is it you're working on? And you might realize, oh, they're kind of pushing things along, or they're siding with you in some way. Okay, now deja vu. They're siding with you in some way. Like even if you might say, well, I didn't even ask them to. They just sort of began like things started working in my favor, and like you realize it was, yeah, when they showed up, some things like that, something like that. So definitely that's a familiar territory. It's a familiar space. Right. No need to panic. Mm-hmm. Mm, yeah. A pleasure. Okay. We'll talk soon. It's happening. Oh gosh. The money, the materialization, it's starting to gravitate, it's starting to attract. Whew. Hmm. Now they made me work out his mind. They made me work that out. Whew. Yeah, they made me work that out. Okay. So, hey everybody. So I'm back on. What time is it? Whoa. Yeah, I am definitely off to a really great start. Um, it is 2 more hours. I just need 2 more hours here. Okay, so I'm here today, uh, having a great time, relaxing. Um, I'm trying to get coming up with the photos and things like that. Uh, and I think I have plenty of photos now, so I can have thumbnails in this live. So I'll definitely will incorporate them into. Yeah, I did a very simple thumbnail. At least I incorporated myself in the thumbnail. So I know people are like, "Why did you have to use a thumbnail anyway?" He was like, "Well, at least I'm holding my tarot cards. I mean, come on." And I do have a lot of minutes. I'm just like, my retention is huge. Let me see the retention. That retention is huge. That's pretty good. I got really great retention right now. Nice. So, to continue to sort of navigate and create these proper connections. It's a wonderful day. You know, things are coming together a lot better. Seeing how things unfold. Um, we are slowly, but yet gradually, effectively, opening up the channels. Got to keep opening up the channels. So important. So that all of what's reaching me can be reached. People are pulling me into conversations of wanting to gift me things. Oh, wow. So, we'll see what happens with it. Not sure exactly how to make that happen or get that to operate. It's okay. It's good energy though. Mm. Mm. Yeah, that man was coming through strong. But I couldn't. I was trying to pinpoint because we talked with him. It's like who, and then it's like he's the only man that's there. It's like, oh, Glenn. It's like, yes. There's a whole chapter on this guy. Like all these hidden things. It was kind of confusing to demonstrate until it happens, and they're like, see, now we're able to do this. This is why. Yeah, that was very, very complex, very in-depth reading. She's going to do some major things upcoming. It'll come together for her. Thank goodness. Glenn sounds like a nice guy. But to be honest, I think they're all a nice guy except one thing. They are, what do you call it? They're colleagues, so there's a bit of competition, healthy competition. Oh my gosh. Now, let me see. Hmm. 1 second. Time out. Oh my gosh. Let me see. What is going on? Uh, okay. Okay. So, mm, I feel great today. Gosh, I feel so good. My got my mind really moving, brain in overdrive. Okay. Let me think. Yeah. Let me see. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay. Mm. Okay, you guys. So, what in the world are we going to focus on today? What are we focusing on? Um, what is today about? What do I see for the day? Let me see. First of all, um, this week, okay, I've divided up into 2 weeks. Okay, we're wrapping up the Taurus star sign. Okay, so this week represents things moving into space, and then the next week over represents things moving into orbit. So it's like we're witnessing things beginning to orbit or take off, moving in its proper direction. That's, I believe that's what this time frame's for. But we're soon to enter into a very, it's about ingenuity upcoming. So we're about to do something in creation that's going to be pretty big, pretty awesome. It's going to be huge, awesome, I think, even. So we're moving towards that ingenuity. Things, I believe things will eventually come together, or things are meant to arise. Things will arise, and by those standards, I think we will we're going to experience a great wealth of, like, I think, like knowledge, like inner knowing things, um, getting into the right rhythm of things as well. So the rhythm will be correct. Um, this is bringing us into logistics of things. Logistically speaking, things are invented. So this is about invention. So look out for inventions, crafty ones of the mind, empirical science, thought types of procedures, theories, that will become more or less scientific in a way. Maybe even something like software wise or technological wise. Yeah, time of invention. So earlier was innovation, and this one is now ingenuity. In fact, I gotta write that down. Okay. Okay. So things are, interestingly enough, beginning to come to pass. My clients were all wondering, how do they continue to expand and grow, and they've, as you say, have taken over spaces, and it's helping to guide my client through the the, the natural interaction with her peers. Though that, of course, I'm reading and helping him, and shedding light on everybody's lives. But yeah, they owe my client big time. My client more than proved herself and has won everyone over. So now they have a deep respect for my client. Um, but all of them are actually becoming, they have a special name for top-notch barristers or lawyers, um, like an elite group called Silk. So my client is on the journey to becoming a an elite lawyer in her field. She's already doing elite things. I had to get her to see that the things that she's trying to accomplish, not that she shouldn't become selfish, is that right now the things that she wants to become, the reason why she wants to become silk is to do the things that she's already doing right now. I said, no, the things that the reason where you're giving yourself a reason to become silk, you're already going to do those things, and universe is not going to wait till you become silk to introduce them to you. So she ended up doing these things and was like, don't I need to become silk first? Like, you'll have to, is like, go with the reason that you want to become silk because you want to. Of course, it will come with all the benefits of being silk, having the label. But she had to become, first of all, she had to become part of an A group. So there's groups, and she had to become an A group and then go for silk. And she's wanting to be silk. It's like, you're already going to be doing A class things. So, yeah, and she's just thriving right now. So she's amazing. She's doing amazing work and has won over her peers, her colleagues. So that's the update. Of course, I'm critical. So if I sound like I'm trying to find fault or error, that's because I'm very critical of psychic readings, because I want them to go perfect. Um, and I want my predictions, to be spotless, and I want, to be able to interpret dreams accurately. So I'm being a little tough in the reading, but my client is thriving. But that's why my client is thriving, because we both care about each other's success. Like, she wants the reading to be successful. I want the results of the readings to reach her successfully. Anyway, in other words, her competitors or enemy owes her big time now. And we thank the spirits once more. And I'll be right back with that. Hmm. To be honest, okay. So I've been checking it up on my client's reading. By the way, I know she's having the time of her life. She's making it sound like she's just going through the ringer. I'm like, I know you've been having a time of your life, but like, shh. I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to know that. But we want she and her husband to have the time of their lives. They deserve it. Okay, let's do some snooping. Oh, it's calm. Okay, it's a little calmer. So I'm gonna do some little bit of snooping. I'll do a little bit better at kind of like timing my lives a little better. I know I don't time my lives better or so well, that well. Okay. Anyway, the next thumbnail and the next live, I'll time out. But I wanted to go live so bad. I did get big numbers. I'm grateful for that. Thank you. But yeah, okay. What else? What else? What else? What else? And I just need to hang out. You know what I mean? Also, I need to write. Let's see. Um, so I was thinking about the next newsletter to write. I'm not sure what I'm gonna write about. I think that the newsletter is gonna be I didn't know if I was gonna do one about beliefs or do like a story time. And I feel like I need to write that down. Ooh, this ideas. Remember, ingenuity season. I want to do psychic story time. I just have to say it without calling it that. Don't call it psychic story time. Okay, so what else? Psychic story time. Um, and newsletter style. Okay. Oh, yeah. Start planning scheduled. I think I hate this part. Scheduled lives. Okay, I wrote it down to start planning scheduled times that I'm on. So, okay. I know people are busy, but thank you for the minutes that you gave. You gave me a lot of minutes. And I thank you for that. Today is. Okay. There's a lot going on between today and tomorrow. Tomorrow sounds like it's going to be very busy. I'm going to be all over the map, all over the place. Hmm. Okay. Whoa. No. Have a nice, a very nice, clean energy right now. Mental energy. observe. Okay. Let me think. Um, okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. A pleasure. Donald here. Oh, it's always a pleasure answering calls to do psychic readings. Love it. Yeah. Okay. She's another one of our favorites. Receptionist. always we always want to do psychic readings. Okay, so Donald here. She's one of our favorites. Well, another one rather. We have so many for a psychic reading. Great. A pleasure. Welcome. Well, a pleasure. Ready for a psychic reading, of course. Always wonderful. Yes. So what new adventures are you on today? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a look, see what we gather here. Now, naturally, I'm picking up um like this monies will find you, the balance. I get the sense, strong sense. Cause I'm over here, my multitasking, doing what I love to do, which is, read the tarot cards. So, Spirit World says that it's meant to happen fast. Like that, like it's supposed to be very active, like in terms of like when you're getting this money, like how quickly you're getting it, the exact amount of money, like the remaining balance. It's supposed to happen very quickly. Like a short span of time. That's why I believe, like you said, tomorrow. Now there's some in between things going on. Like right, okay, so today, or this week rather, this week that we're in, right? But it's Sunday and all. It's like things are kind of like in trajectory, like things are moving, right? But they're still seeing some things that need to manifest, kind of like in the balance, like you waiting for this balance. It's moving, but it's like in the medium, in the middle of finalizing, and then it'll be Monday, by the way. Now, vibrationally, everything is, I think, is coming to, like, let's say, landing on your desk, or like you say, landing in your accounts. In your case, on, well, they say the second, which is okay. We know that's Monday, but I think Tuesday also. There's some things going on between now and Tuesday. It's like, but now, like between now and Tuesday, everything is, especially in this area, which we, because we're saying Monday for the balance, but really things are supposed to be like able to be like signed off by Tuesday. Okay. Oh, by the way, this week is meant to sort of either conclude or fulfill for this time frame. You like things that you've been working on as we bring in the last week of the constellation, which is next week. So it's like the 8th, June 8th, is another subject all on its own. So I feel that a lot of this reading, like just because of some details, I think that are going to come through your reading that's regarding what to expect this week, this over this next, let's say, 5 days. 4 to 5 days is very much integral. In your case, it's one day, 1 to 2 days, about particularly one day, I think, and then yes, you're gonna find that things are really like, especially in the realm of like the balance, finances, property, these three subjects. because I'm also seeing property or some kind of residency. Maybe that's aligning with client and money. This is also in the reading, but it keeps stressing the structures for like where to live, like structures like property, things like real estate elements. So this is a part of the answer, by the way. You know how they are; they give the details, but definitely 1,000% they're showing that this is happening very assertively. This money reaching you, it's like money will reach you. It's like how long will it take? Well, how sure of it? Yeah, how sure is it to reach you? Is the energy here is like the most highest form of assertiveness energy, which means they want to get this is usually balanced out right away as quickly as possible. Is what they're and then of course it describes the actual elements of I guess the like the monitor, which be the banking systems. So those are the symbols that represent the banking systems is also at play here. It feels very much that what has happened. Um, okay, so some things. I guess it was like some little bit of like tension emotionally, like maybe some personal agendas, maybe opinions, kind of mess with things a little bit. So it kind of maybe offset. So maybe you're feeling like this should have happened a lot sooner, Diana. You're like, this could happen sooner. That's because there was some personal feelings got involved, and so but they said that that's no reason. Despite all of that, this money or balance is supposed to reach you to, as you say, Monday. Yes, right. Well, I saw that they were okay. I have okay. Sometimes I get a hunch that they want to come back around, and so I see the energy. I see them looking in your direction, but it feels more appropriate, like in real life. Like, okay, so that's what they want, but what happens to me in real life? What I can recognize, so I'm ready and prepared. It's like I get the feeling like they're not going to physically approach you. Like they may not like a physical contact or like an actual like maybe reach out again. They may touch bases. I wouldn't be surprised if it, but I'd be surprised if they even touch bases. Say, are you sure you don't want to do this? Kind of email. It feels more like I want to, but I'm not going to. It feels more like they were. Maybe you'll change your mind and you will reach out, because you want to, but we know that that's not going to happen. So I do believe that they would love for you to take on this child. I just don't see them actively pursuing this with you. Like, okay, so I'm also sometimes I have to be very cautious because sometimes I'm reading the clients and themselves. The client is themselves. The client is fabulous with you. So I cannot. I try not to mix up the two. It's like the client wants to be with you, of course. That's natural, right? You know that. But this is not about. Well, it's about the client, but it's actually the conversation about the group that's that you're in that needs to do the work with you if it that or not, and that by way they can the client would work with you then. But so I'm just talking about the group when I move past the client, and then it goes into how you describe, well, it's just not adequate, it's not favorable for me to take on this journey with them like this. And that's when I start to see more like the dark, like that the sad part where somebody. It's by the way, it's a male energy. Like the way he looks at me with his eyes, like deep set eyes, and he's like, why don't you just call me and tell me, like that you change your mind and you'll take the child. But it's like he has this big ego, like I can't reach out to she should reach out to me. It's not like you're like I'm not gonna reach out and say would you mind, or have someone do it. Like He's not thinking like that. So that's why I don't think he's gonna physically reach out. I just think that you might get feelings like he's trying to reach out or something to that effect, or that, or maybe psychically, energetically, but not necessarily reaching out physically that you can recognize and do, maybe make an actual a rational discernment, rather, to hear him out or say, no, my decision is final and that's that. Um, yep, I want to talk about that. Hmm. Right, because remember, they're not going to find anything because there's nothing to find. It says the past reading. It says the readings on that. But what's this? Okay, so first of all, let's talk about that. So they did all the threatening bit, and it's like, well, we'll just look at everything, put it under a microscope. But that's when we were saying in the past reading. We said, funny thing is, you're actually quite superior in this area. You're really very fantastic on paper, and in fact, that's how you got your notoriety. And we knew that this is. They said they wanted you to walk this way because it would, when people, like, when situations like this come up in the future. Here we are. This is the future right now, because this was because he dealt with them before. But now it's the future already, and now they said that you would be celebrated. So all they, when they go look at the microscope, all they, and they magnified, all they're gonna, all in big letters or big words. She's fantastic. Everybody here wants to work with her. Yeah, we want her to take. We always go to her to take in the client. She takes them in. It makes a big difference. You know, so well, we've never had any problems. That's all they're getting. We all want to work with her. So okay, so now can I update? May I expand? Okay, the expansion. What they're adding. This, okay. So this man can't find anything, so he can't fulfill a promise threat. He can't follow through on anything. So, but he says, all right. One day you're gonna, ask us a favor, or you're gonna want something with from us, and we're just gonna remember this. And when you want to do something with us, we're just gonna make it. We'll just be reminded of how this conversation went. So that's the way. He may be petty. Like pettiness. By the way, this deep set mindset also happens when, as an adult, especially as an adult, it really shows on us. It's a lot of energy, like takes a little toll on us, right? And so, like when we had to submit, and we don't get something major that we were kind of hoping on, like his ego got pulled out of, like the energy of the ego, right? The feeling of something being taken away. Nothing's been taken away, but he's being petty right now. He's being his, like a petty god. He's a little god. He's being human. Like he's like pride. I'm prideful. Like you won't take this. You won't just do what I ask. Okay, I remember that. Okay, I owe you one. He's being like very much like that. He's showing a lot of his, maybe not so favorable or likable qualities of the human side, but you say, but realistically, I'm practical psychic. Anything to look out for? Absolutely nothing, other than maybe, but when have you not had challenging meetings with this same person? It's like this person is, we in fact, the premise of these readings about him around this group was always, going forward, you would just be ready to deal with them because they were never going to be, like, agreeable. There'd always be something, but you would always. But the whole point of the you walking this path was to put you in a position where you could do exactly, make the kind of decisions you made today, and that is, I don't want to work with this particular client, and they can't make you do it. They can't put you to do it, set you up to do it either. And so you're exactly where you. This is spiritual where you are right now. That's what I'm hoping I'm getting across. Yes, you're in your spiritual, you're in your place of power where we need you. You're in your place of power, in your strength. Yes. Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Um. Okay. So I get this sense of. I mean, he's right now. He's as you say. He's really being as they say self-centered. So it's talking about he, being from his self-centered aspect. There's a part of him that knew that there were going to be complications in this area. That it's like he knew that he was not going to get paid, and he's like he just wasn't expecting. And like, he would be surprised if he was paid anything. If he paid the slightest bit, if you would say. And then of course not receiving anything, it more or less, you know, it, it they said that they described it before as being healthy because it helped him to see clearly everything. He can't use the little bit that you give him, for example, like a little bit of mercy to say, okay, I wasn't like really punished because at least I got a little bit of money, so I must be the greatest. I must be really doing great. I must have done something of value. But you're saying, no, I was really unhappy, and I was really wanting to help, and I could have, and then now it's like, okay, so I don't want to pay anything, and then you don't, and now he's having to think about why not, which helped him to think about. You're helping him help to think about, okay, what is it that he didn't do, and now he may say, yeah, I didn't do it, because I didn't want to. I was looking to. He could say all that in his ego, but he has to carry that. He can't dress it up and say, "See, I helped her out. She should be thankful I did what I did." No, because it's like, no, that was not the agreement. And so then it's like he has to accept, I didn't do enough. That's where you need them. I didn't do enough. I could have been more respectful, more responsible. But especially they did say that he's going to be in himself, or centered in himself on this subject, until later. It's going to take him a few months to put it all together, more or less. Okay, to say I was in the wrong. For him to say that, it's going to take him a bit to formulate those thoughts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. It felt like she's like maybe waiting, like everything is in the wings, and she's waiting to materialize. Like I believe that she gets some, we call it feedback. She gets feedback, or gets I guess like the message this week. This week, she'll get it this week. Uh huh. It's gonna happen. It's like over the next couple of days, maybe next Tuesday, or the next 2 days. I'm naturally drawn to Tuesday, but it's like top of the week she gets the results. It feels like she's naturally, as you say, finding a job, and able to move along, to move. Yeah, they're describing a new like contract or new arrangement is being established. She's pleased with the opportunity, so it's what they describe, something new, career wise, social wise. Like she'll be in conversations with these individuals. Then they said within a week's time. That's right. Yeah, it's coming. It's going to come together, contractual wise. New business structures for her upcoming. Okay. Yes, I believe she's going to get the job, get a job, and then have the ability to move on, more or less. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Everything you're describing and paperwork. Sometimes I sense something going on with paperwork. Like things in like little piece of information need to be in order. I saw that as well. Because it's sometimes it's like she's I think she's going for bigger. She's not going for less. She's going for like something she would deem as promising. I think she would go for something that she feels she wanted, it'd be her best. She'd do her best. And I think that it's challenging. And like you said, all the little details, small print, she's figuring how to get all of that in order, in place. Though she's off to a good start. It, right, it's yes. Mm-hmm. Understood. Right, right. They mentioned that she will have this ability um, to more or less keep up with the gentleman. She's what she's wanted to kind of like have a job that's going to allow her to focus on the relationship as well. So she's making all these, like you said, these kinds of life considerations. And you said, well, maybe priorities might be a little bent, but because it keeps talking about like she also wants convenience. She wants a job. That's why she's going for these kinds of jobs, because it would give her the convenience to hone in on the relationship potential that she wants to continue up the road, is what I saw. Because this is supposed to grant her the ability to also maybe make a move of sorts. Like she's wanting to make some move, like a physical, like a dress move of sorts, or maybe an area she's also contemplating. Mm. And she wants to keep that. Well, they both want to keep that going, but she definitely is working around that. Like keeping that in place. She wants to keep that in place more or less. I mean that arrangement between the two of them. Like she definitely 1,000% wants him in some capacity living with her, or living. And they said living in the flat. She's building around that relationship. That's right. You nailed it. Now you have a better like what's going on now. In fact, this is her. You really, well, we know this is her motivation to seeing what the options are, so that's work. That may even be the motivation. You said hope she keeps the job as well, because she has trouble in that area. Well, I get the strong sense that, well, manifestation for herself is represented. What's going on. They say. So okay, so 3 weeks out, where she will be, I think that she will have, or she'll be in the midst of planning on making a move for herself. That's what she's gonna be focused on. I also get the sense that um, they both the two of them have actually reconnected. I see that her life begins to stable. Is also a pick up on, or at least balance out. Everyone gets a first good start run. She'll have a good start, like a nice start in her run. The guides here illustrate that um, she's able to at least speak with him, because she wants to have like a conversation about the future. And of course, it's like she working herself, so things are working out for her. And she's asking him, so what's the plan? That's what she's going to be asking him 3 weeks out. But now you said 3 weeks out. 3 weeks is significant. In fact, 3 weeks 1,000% represents ingenuity. So it's like coming up with ideas, like invention actually, inventing maybe a process, a project, a plan that's going to, promote the busyness of their lives. She's going to be making money. He follows all of this. He's going to be making money, so they can begin building their flat, the way that they want it, things like that. Their house the way they want it. That's it seems to be the direction that she would like to take things. She may be walking blindly. She's maybe as blindfolded as Lady Justice, but she means well. Mm-hmm. 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 That's one. That is a very interesting idea. You having to love on both of them and see into their lives. As they are. You said there's like a like they both have glass house, but this is as you say, when people want something, they desire it. They do make, you may say, making unnecessary risks in or believe in things that are not quite the principle, the breast principle. And that's what you're witnessing. Especially, I'm reading her path. Of course, now, regardless, okay, so there's what how one might conceptualize the situation, but then there's, so what is he gonna do? He is going to stay there with her. He could be doing all the things he has going on, but he's 1,000 for sure that he's going to stay with her, and she's looking to him. She doesn't mean she has all the answers, right? So it just means that this is her desires, and this is now she is acting on her desires. So that's what you'll see with your eyes. Okay, look, she is really chasing your this your nephew. She's makes like she's going to go to him and try and give him the idea that, look, let's get this in, like, let's talk about their lives, and all the changes that your nephew is going to go through. He's going to go through so many changes, like with work, all kind of things. Plus, by the way, he wants to move again. He wants to move to another area, but he wants his money stabilized first. She's gonna want to move with him. Like, if you move, let's go bigger. Let's get a place together. That's what she's gonna position him that. But he's good. Guess what? He's going to agree, even with all the things that he's into, that he's gotten himself into, even with you. He's going to agree. Yes, let's build. They're going to go through many changes together for sure. Hmm. Yes. You're said you're going to be like secured outside of it. You absolutely right. You making sure that you're secured and safe and protected energy wise. Hmm. They're going to go through it. It. Hmm. Yes. Right. Right. Mm. Right. Oh my gosh. And gosh, I have a feeling that she wants to fall in love with him. I'm starting to see signs of wanting to establish a house. I'm seeing fertility signs. I'm seeing, like, business signs, elements, and home. She wants to say this is ours. She wants that with him. And I'm not getting any sign that he doesn't want those things. Even like you said, somehow you that she'll bring that everybody gonna bring you in the middle. Yeah, I have a feeling that they're gonna be together, and it's gonna bind them. They're gonna make a life decision together along the lines of fertility. 1,000%. Yes, 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 yes. They're gonna be in each other's lives. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know what that means. Mm-hmm. He. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. You're right. You're right. Right. Okay. Right. 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 And what's interesting is this: he is definitely needing to be his own boss. He would do far better if he is his own boss. He'd be if he were his own boss. I think that's more what he wants. He may not have it quite put together, but if he was, I know that sounds like, well, that's like a long shot. I had to commit to that. And I haven't, you maybe haven't seen that in him, but they do describe that he just really feels that I don't like to be told. He doesn't like to be told what to do. Right. That's what you don't. That's you don't see him the capabilities in him to right. Right. And he's like you said, set in his ways to where now no one he won't listen to anyone, and no one can even tell him anything, tell him what to do or how to. He doesn't want to be told anything, right? Mm-hmm. And right, 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 absolutely. And so as in him having to create completely, and it's all on him, and it's all his name on it. As they say, he can't take care of things that don't belong to him. But then he might say, "Oh, well, that's mine. I will take care of mine. Like I'm gonna take care of the things that I put my name on it." Like you said, he's got to learn get out there and see what it feels like when his fingertips bleed because of the work and your tears and sweat is pouring into it. Let's see how you treat your business. It's that type of situation. Like, fine, go build his own, and you see how you like it when somebody mistreats your business. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A pleasure. No, we. I know you want to do karma on them. No, no. You can't hurt. I know you want to do your brother dirty because he did you wrong. You want him to get the point. He got a little main squeeze. She'll get the job. She'll get work going for herself, and she's not gonna leave. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Oh boy. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's see what we gather here. What's it? Oh, never mind. Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Y'all better be lucky that I'm not a genie in this lifetime. Because if I were, they would rub that lamp and they'd say, I wish my brother would. That's what they would start out with. And then they're going to give you, like, oh, they're going to do the brother dirty. But I got you. I'm not allowing myself to be bottled. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Whoops. Okay. Oh yes. Back to okay. So what was I writing? Oh yeah, I had completed it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what was they? What were they? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I know why I kept coming back to that. I didn't spell it correctly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, okay. I was receiving a lot of information. That's why I'm laughing. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So I think getting ready to establish this. Keep going. That one felt good. Now what's going on here? Oh boy. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Oh boy. Hmm. Let me take a look at that. I gave myself a nice shave, and right now, you know, it's like the gods, they pulled my skin back, right? So, uplift, as you could tell. I stayed off them darn drugs. And you know, got out of smoking, anything, uh, drinking, got out of that. So yeah. Okay. Oh, and whoever was that came in here and ruined my average. Now I have huge numbers, but I'm still mad at you. Don't come in here messing up my average. Donald here. A pleasure. You're here for a psychic reading, of course, of always. It's good to speak with you today. So, what brings you today to the readings? Ah, um, understood. I know you got your mind on this, so I know it's a lot that you're dealing with, taking on so much. So let's read at the highest vibration and see where energy is this, where things are. It says that this. Okay, so this is the June 1st represents the manners of taking off. Things are moving in the direction. It also represents more like it's like you are dealing with the self. It's bringing about the health for the relationship to be. You're putting in that work. On self. It's helping you with the growth, great shadow work, all that. This is at the highest vibration. They say that this is the time frame. We still have little like 2 weeks left of the constellation, but pretty much June is here, which signifies that connection that he has to you, like this ideal is what we're describing. Now, the guy says that they said moving with caution. Okay, like you've already, as you say, put out that olive branch. You have. Now they said that there's a bit of like I don't know if it's gossip necessarily. It's like something that you've heard or you're hearing. Maybe it's something that is just coming through the natural channels, the mind that, like things about him, I mean, referencing him. They said that, it may not be true. Like there's certain times when I read for you, I feel like we're pulling in like other people around him that's not it's not exactly what we might think it is. Like especially like women around him or a woman around him. Sometimes the information comes up and it's like, oh, this is it's like described as gossip, or it's like, oh, this is not authentic. It's not real. This is not, or this is not his situation. Now she may want those things, but there's then there's the reality, like what how he connects with her, or does, or lack thereof, which is more like describing the lack thereof, that he doesn't connect with her, that he's meant to be in engagement. They said through the voice, energetically, like it's a matter of like when will he and you talk, more or less. But they do say where he's at least. I know you want to know that. Where now physically where he's at is with something about undecided about the office or about work, like undecided about work, like a position. So he is undecided what directions to take next. He already has the work, but work, there's paths that open up, or they describe it as crossroads. So he's at a crossroads, and so he's in a place right now today. He can make Your gentleman can make a decision. He can go left or he can go right, as they say. But he needed to grow. Oh, by the way, he's working a lot. So they describe him as, if I may use the word, workaholic. Excuse me, workaholic. Like he's working, meaning in other words, he's just spending a lot of time in the work space, not much at room and activity for the other things. They say, like recreationally, he's not been doing much. Now he's in a place where he's realizing what, like the things I guess you might consider to be exciting, which is concerns to his connection to you, which means taking things to the next stage of his life. Okay, so now with that said, now I understand fully what would need to be addressed. One, he needs to contact you. He needs to be in contact because even though he's not made a decision yet, meaning he said, well, what decision earlier? That was about whether to come, like be where you are, find work where in the neighborhood somewhere, and then join you there. But it's more like career direction. Like where would he, if he was to get a job there, would he make the move? Would he be? He would be. He's ready. He could, but he hasn't made that. He hasn't said yes or no, more or less. But see, now that he has the options available to him, he's in a better place than he was a month ago. Now he can talk with you about taking things to the next phase of his in your connection. So there does need to be communication that's, as you would say, open between he and you. 1,000%. So we can take a look into that and see. Okay, let's look at that. So this is reading his highest energy, by the way, and the guides to share with us. Oh, well, the highest energy means what would benefit you out of all this. So this benefits you that he finally is in charge of his what happens to him. Because before we would talk, it's like he's not even in charge. He's not even able to make decisions. But now he can. He can make. In fact, he can make the kind of decisions that you're talking about, like if he wanted to make a move, if he wanted to consider new work, he could the level of work, by the way, that he wanted to get involved in. He can now make decisions in the type of offices he wants to interview with. It's up now. The world, as you say, is in his hands, as they say. Okay, time wise, if you may look at the time, so he can't. Okay, so this says I'm looking straight to the time. I'm gonna skip the small parts. It's August, so it's actually 2 months before he would do anything. Like if he were to like let's say find work, another job, they say by August he will. August. That's the timing. I mean, another job. He found work, but I mean, from where at the level where he's at right now, it'll take him 2 months to like find a job, then make the move, and but now we can read all the in between things like well, then what's going on right now. So right now it talks about dating or wanting to connect long term. I think this is all associated with you, between he and you. He still has the same feelings. He has the same thoughts. Those are still there. Feelings and thoughts about the structures that he and you still have, very much still in place. So that's I'll put that there. Okay, so what happens after? Okay, so August happens. Then what? August into like late November. It's, well, you show up in the reading. It's about, having these connections with you, conversation wise. I don't think you're going to wait till all that time, by the way. I'm just seeing what happens after August. This is showing, it's illustrating that you two are definitely interacting, back in communication, and there's a lot of traveling, back and forth, or traveling to, like, maybe live, as you say, staying together on the same roof. Beyond that, like August into that November energy. So if we may come back to these next two important, because first of all we have the next 2 weeks, and then we have from the 14th to the then beyond, till I guess into the end of July, as they describe. So okay, so what I see with that, this is the time frame. By the way, these next, let's say the next 2 weeks, is about, like touching bases, communicating, getting back into communication once again. That seems to be, where the promise is coming from. Something that's, by the way, I discovered earlier that he's thinking about the connection you share, like, but you specifically, and he's also feeling it as well. And like, so he has, so it's very, this very restraining situation. He has a woman, you, in his life, and he thinks of that as a good thing, and he feels that that's it's structured, that there's work here, there's something that can be achieved here, but he also feels it. He feels that way. So he's still, um but okay, so it still needs to give that one. Now this is the part where it's going to get, as you might say, challenging. He keeps showing me the snake eye dice, like the dice and the snake eyes. He keeps showing me that, or like a losing bet on the idea of trying to I think his greatest. This is more or less speaking to his fears. His fear is he and you start talking, and then that's all it's going to become, talking and no action. But that comes with the idea of, okay, now he's in a place where he can make a decision, and he's still undecided. He hasn't made a definite decision of where he's going to set up his life. Where, he's gotten to the place where he can set up, where he can now, he's got the money to put down on the journey to having a better life for himself. He's got it now. He's got the job that will support that. This, what he doesn't realize, that this is the best time for he and you to communicate, because now he has something tangible that he even believes in. Before he didn't. He was scared because he's like, what does, he's a man that, he's coming with empty-handed, and that's not right. So he says he's got to come with something that makes him attractive, like, a job. And so now he has that, and that's why. But he says even then he still is undecided, like when he would move, and quite how to, navigate that. Even though that's his intentions to do so, so he doesn't have a plan. So he's still pondering. Okay, well, what about the plan? He doesn't know what to tell you. He doesn't want to be a deliverer, like be handed, enter into your world, but doesn't have an answer, doesn't have a way, doesn't have a plan, doesn't have a time frame. So He's worried. He says, as worried about that as he says it's too risky. He says to be in contact with you while all this is going on is too. It's like chance, playing a game of chance, because his thing is, I think he thinks that you would be disappointed, or you would be maybe you display that you're upset with him, or it may really bother you, affect you, because especially when you really love someone, you're counting on them. So he says, rather than bring that needless disappointment, he says, okay, you know um, he's got to think about what's the best way to say these things to you, that yes, he has intentions, but then it's saying that and then doing that. That's one thing, but then that's another, for him not to do it. So he says, okay. when he's going to do it, when he's ready to do it. Which, but now spirit world is always, to me, I think is always right. Spirit says no. Tell her now. Tell her that you are ready now, because you are. You know that you are monetarily ready, like you needed to be. You're comfortable, and you have a chance now. Now the but it's like he does. Maybe he doesn't know that the doors are open to him like that. Like because the doors, I see the doors as open. I'm like, now's your chance. Make his move, and he's thinking, well, he's got to research and just find out which the best ones, and if there are any companies you may be branches or close to the branch, in that area. So he's thinking more on that practical level, which is understandable. We all would do it, but I think that eventually he's going to realize that he can actually connect with you, and that he should like reach out to you and tell you at least how far along he is. That may be from the way spirit is channeling me, saying that he can reach out now, because now he has something to at least to share with you, that he's far enough along that he can make some considerations of potential good businesses to interview with, that's going to get him the type of position that he wants, and that's going to pay him the money that he wants, and he actually land the position, because I think he would do, according to the reading, he would do really well right now. The favorite time though for interviews, for him, I read, is actually like 2 weeks from now, being in the third week. The third week is fantastic time for him to, which most likely, I think that's the way you might hear about him planning out doing, finding work, interviewing, making another move. By the way, speaking of she, the one who's around, my hunters are telling me that he's going to move away from her. He's moving away from her, not they're not towards each other. It's not They're not moving towards each other. He's looking out, like you said, exploring. Okay, you said exploring options. Well, he's looking out and about in the world, and he's not physically intending to move closer or living near her, with her, more or less. He's where he's at for now, but this is not meant to stay. He was always, even though he may not, say that out loud, but he was always meant to go in the other direction, and make a physical leap, a move. So that's where he's at. Um, that's why I think that like the next phase, I guess, is happening with him, where he's began searching for work. Even in the region, I think he's going to search for, genuinely, honestly, focus on searching for work, 2 weeks out or 3 weeks into this month, in the month of for the month of June. Okay, so let's see what he feels, and I also believe he will be successful. Following through with this, it's very good for his and your connection. I still would like to see he and you actually talk this at the during these next 2 weeks. Within what would be nice if we did it this week, but within the next 2 weeks. So they say that he 1,000% is still envisioning himself moving where you are. That's what's on his mind. However, he has mixed signal about it, and he knows why he would do it. It wouldn't be just because he wants to go there and and get a job there and live there. It is because it's associated to you. It is associated to the heart, is what he feels like. And of course, to get life going. He does feel like it was blocked, like something blocked him from having the relationship, the level of relationship he wanted with you, which was going to be very serious. He says the relationship, this is inward things, relationship with you is also long haul or long term. Okay, now there is a secret, as you say, lover energy that's holding him to his past. We go through that all the time. We mentioned earlier that he's moving actually away from that connection, and it would be, but it's been slow, and it's like it's slow but yet steady. By the way, the nature of their relationship is karmic soulmates. In this situation, okay, karmic soulmates have been coming twin flames, like a handful of them I've read. But karmic soulmates typically are like relevant to past relationships. So they said they describe the relationship as more like very dependent. Like this relationship is really very much dependent upon him having like no interest of moving, for example, and staying exactly where he's at, which that's not the case at all. So much dependency on this that it's almost like it's not based on the like the heart as the reasoning why he would want to stay there. Like he doesn't want to stay there, and also there's no real heart or substance why he would want to stay there. Like in other words, he's not in love. Over that one's very clear. And it's like you said, it's kind of that little bit of just waiting to see what if anything changes more or less. Or okay, so which they said that because it's a bit as you're describing a little bit of codependency here. It does get a little. We've described it as being thick in the air or toxic. So it's not been a healthy run. Even having since reconnected, it's been a challenge. So hence the distance that he has. Okay, so then new love. So the new love and the pursuit of the one that's going on right now with you, that's the one that's guiding him to make this kind of move. So now I know why. I understand why he moved. He needs to um, become reacquainted with you. He needs to reconnect with you. That's where he's at in this particular reading. And of course, he and you would connect very quickly. And I think he would realize that this is why he's pulled in your direction. He reconnected with you, and very quickly, you both are back in sync. You both are more than just getting along. You both are thought of as a couple even. And but he needed to become empowered, but in his self empowerment now he can have the life and with the person who he's more or less thinking of, which is who is you. So that's what's going on. Yes, he just right now, he admits it that it was like the world shut the door, slammed the door on him, and he's like, what does he what, how does he respond to that? What was that all about? Was it like maybe it wasn't meant? Maybe it was a sign, but then he realized, wait a minute, now what is the sign for him to go into a relationship where he's not happy, and that's not the case. So he's realizing, oh, he needed to certain doors needed to guide and him back to you. That's what I believe that's what he's coming to realize now. He's realizing that is the pathway is guiding himself back to you. That, oh, by the way, he described you as, okay, now with the if I may bring up the X one more time. So you might say, well, aren't they at least friends? I think that he's cordial. Okay, now I can say he thinks of you as someone special in his life, like a special friend. Um, like so that means it isn't just the physical activity, and then the special friend represents how close that he feels, close like as to you, and then when he connects with you, how quickly he connects with you, how fast he falls in love when he starts to think like he still maintains the love connection that he has that he shares between with you as well, and he doesn't share that with he doesn't have a special romantic interest with anyone else at like or with her specifically as like he does with you. With you, it's very like he doesn't think about it. He doesn't have to try to trick his mind into thinking that way. He just is. He just naturally feels this way about you. Is how he describes it. That's why he's not, as you say, moved on. He's not gone anywhere. That's why out of all the directions he could take, like he still is interested in seeing what's life would be like if he were to do all those things, but around you or with you or in the same area as you. That's his outlook. This is what's going on here. Um, I get the sense that throughout all of this time of making this move, and it's been a challenge, like the key like life experience has something to do with. Okay, so now they're showing me um, a bit of the phones. They're showing the phones. Okay, so like communication, like to be on the phone. And he's in a place where I'm hearing words like just call him. I keep hearing words like that, and I know what that means. It means that he and you have. He feels that because life kind of didn't, he thinks life didn't cut him a break, and that you two became separate. And it's like, okay, it's always constant. He said, as they say, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's like you feel like he closed, like this door slammed on him, and then he reconnects with you, and now he has to start all over. He has to gain your trust again. He feels like all of that's going on, and that may not even be the case. And that comes from he's like him not being able to understand that may not fully be the case. It's because like you said, he doesn't like reach out. In the vision, he's expecting that he and you will find each other again when he could simply make each other he and you again. Like he can make it happen, but he's going into this other realm where he's seeing how close you are, where you are, and like I said, somewhat in proximity to himself, relevant to himself. Like he might get the feeling like he's in this space, and what can and so what in the world can he do? And we both know that yeah, it's a phone call. Like he make the call, he dial out and contact you, and that's what he could do, and that would be great. That would be a wonderful action. And so, but sometimes he just like as he say, well, what is he supposed to do? What does what's expected of him to do? He says that, but then at the same time, you know, like they say, asking and reaching out to you, and you're saying, well, reach out to you, but through phone, rather than just wanting you, to to call him and that he's around. Well, don't well call. I'm available. I'm available. Reach out, and you do, and then okay, then what? But then he actually reach out to you. He's in reach because reaching out to you, then he can tell you all the wonderful updates that I'm reading because I'm reading some really nice updates in the situation. But yeah, he just like anyone, I guess, a human of us, right? He's living it out, live a life, and he got a few wrong turns, and so he's thinking, I guess, in the moment. He's being in the moment. Is why you might say, well, why don't he choose the better outcome? The solution that gives him everything. That's because it's happening to him in real time, and he's not figured that completely out himself. He hasn't filled it out. Although that's his pure intention to to have these answers. He's looking for these answers. I think that the main time that he's going to get it is he's he and you are getting through this week. The closer that definitely the closer that he gets to these specific time frames. But this week they said that he could lay a lot to rest. He could bring a lot of peace into his to his life. It would quench his curiosity thirst. And besides, he is ready to talk. By the way, he wants to talk, and then he's ready to talk. That's what I can tell. Mm, exactly. Well, he needs to be in this place where he has to stop looking for you to do all of those things. That's what Spirit suggested. And wake up to the idea, as you do. You, mm-hmm. And also he needs to make a decision, and be in his process of being a man for you. He has to be a man that looks in the mirror and say he can make a decision. Like you said earlier, he's in this crossroads and he's not reached out and he's wondering what did he do now, you know, and that is reach out to you in the readings. It says yes, tell you how far along that he's come along, and that's definitely is the right thing to do. And then he, of course, choose otherwise he would have done these things. But one thing is for certain is, when I look at him psychically, what I can, see naturally through the spirit, self care is this is no more longer about self care. He's taking care of himself. He's financially stable to be the man that he's meant to be. He's got the money. He's got the job. He can now ask for better work, more money. Now he needs to take, as he said, grab life by the reins, the horse's rings, and make the horse go. That's what he needs. Ride his chariot forward. Yes. So, and so this is his journey, the directions that he takes. Hmm. I get the sense that he has a lot of work to do. I get that strong sense. He's got a lot of thinking to do, and that's going to put him in this, in the overhead. There's a lot of energy. It sounds like that is it that's been in reserve for a long while. It's like things that you haven't tapped into yet, but I think that you both are on the way in that journey. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, mm, okay. So we have this vibration. Wow. This is very good energy. So, okay. The only thing with that one, like, it's too much secret stuff going on. I'm trying to get them to kind of come out and like get into a place because they're interacting, but they need to be in a place where they're talking openly amongst themselves to each other. They need that, and it hasn't happened. So that's one of the challenges, which, people try to do their thing. I said, no, no, no. You need to do this. You need to do that. So, but it's easy to unravel things. Like, yeah, people don't follow exact, but you can unravel it. It's just, it's just the "I told you so" universe saying "I told you so." So, but once we get past that and unravel it and kind of clear things in the vibration, it gets better. Life, you all, life gets better for sure. I'm telling you. Don't cave in. Don't give in. Stay true to the energy, Stay true. Mm-hmm. So, ooh, 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 wow, I see you. One moment. One moment. Okay. So let's go. All right. So it's my three. Hold on. And whoever messed with my average, you know what I just said? Oh yeah, you know what I just said. I said, get back. I said, get back. Messing up my average like that. Who, man. All right. See y'all later. Mm.